was the big conference championship, both games, and wow, just unbelievable games. They were saying last week that the Bills Chiefs game was the
Unbelievable
best
game.
one, and it was really good, but the Bengals game against the Chiefs was outstanding, and I couldn't have seen really a better outcome for the Bengals, and it was an awesome game. And then as well with the Rams and 49ers, the 49ers had a very good defensive game. Their offense was slow, and the Rams did just an awesome job and held out the win at the end. And so it was just both games were very good, and I was just it was a great week. So let's start off talking about the first game, the Chiefs Bengals, and the Chiefs. They did it twice. They lost at the last little bit, and we already saw the Chiefs last week do the exact same thing to the Bills. They went to overtime. They won the coin toss, and it was just looking bad for the Bengals at the end. And earlier, I'd said, "Oh no, this is it for the Bengals." They were down 21-3 with 5 minutes left in the second quarter, and when you're like that, you're done usually, unless you're Tom Brady. And Joe Burrow went out there and he scored a touchdown, and they were down by 11 at halftime. And somehow they got out of it and they got into a bit of a rhythm. And their defense needs more credit, but they did so good. Their defense was amazing. And to be able to hold the Chiefs, I think, around 40 yards in the whole second half, not including overtime, it was just amazing. And to see them have such a great game, see Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase as a rookie, it was just awesome. And then they went out there after a 21-10 losing. They gave the ball to the Chiefs. The Chiefs couldn't get anywhere. They kept punting back and forth for a minute. And then we saw a awesome touchdown and a field goal. And then there was an interception, and they scored another field goal, and then the Chiefs got a field goal at the last little bit to go to overtime. And I was cheering for the Bengals for this one the whole way through. I didn't want to see them go home, and it was so cool to see them go to like winning this game. But then it came down to that overtime, and I was like, oh no, they're gonna do it again. But somehow that defense just did an amazing job, and they really need a round of applause for how good they did. Okay, so then the next game, the 49ers Rams, it was a slow game. There wasn't a lot of scoring. It finished 20-17, and at halftime it was 10-7, and I was picking the Rams to win this one. I picked them from the beginning to the end. I was like, "Come on, Rams, you can do this. You've lost 7 times in a row. You can't lose again." I think it was 6 times in a row. I don't know, but anyways, they came back 10-7 down at halftime. It was looking really bad. Debo is just the goat. And George Kittle scored a touchdown, up 17-7 at the end of the third quarter, and they scored 7 points in the first 3 quarters. When you do that, you don't look so good. And Matthew Stafford and the gang looked like they're about to get sent home, but they went in and they were able to get Cooper Cup a touchdown. They were able to kick 2 more field goals and then ice the game. And it was really cool to see the Rams be so happy. It was cool to see Matthew Stafford after terrible last couple seasons um, with the Rams and other things, and it was just good to see him do how he did. So I think it was gonna be a great Super Bowl, and they both did a really good job. To look more at the Bengals Chiefs game, um, if a little review, I guess. So the Bengals had no turnovers in the whole game, which is a Bengal masterpiece. They've had a little bit of troubles this year. They also lost C.J. Ozuma, which is going to be really tough for them, as they've needed him a lot. And they've used him in the playoffs so far this year. But they, like I said already, like twice, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce were held to a low amount of yards. Um, Travis Kelce only had 95 yards in the whole game and a touchdown, and Tyreek Hill had 78 yards and a touchdown. And that is, I mean, that's a lot of yards, but still, that is just an amazing job by the Bengals defense to hold them like that. And then T. Higgins, surprisingly, had 103 yards over top of Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase had 54 yards and a touchdown. But I just think what a great job they did. And then the 49ers Rams game, the Rams just, I don't know, the second half they kind of started to turn on, but that fourth quarter they just got in there and started grinding. They were going. It was awesome, and it was just great to see Matthew Stafford win this game. But it was not a very good running game for the Rams, which is a little bit scary because if they're going to run as much as they did, they will not be able to beat the Bengals, as the Bengals defense did a pretty good job against the run. They did have a couple plays where McKinnon got away and got a bunch of yards, and thanks the catch. The catch is an awesome place. So for my subscribers, go check out the catch. He's awesome. They do a great job there at the catch. So, anyways, to continue, Jimmy Garoppolo had 232 yards and two touchdowns and an interception. He wasn't sacked at all, which is crazy for Von Miller, Aaron Donald, and the rest of them to not get a single sack in the whole game. And that is a little bit scary. I mean, against the Titans, the Bengals, they allowed 9 sacks, and that was unbelievable, and they still were able to win. And I was like, if they play the Chiefs, or even the Bills, they were going to have a very tough game. And somehow they didn't allow much. So the Bengals are going to do a pretty good job from how they played yesterday against the Rams. So Matthew Stafford, he had 326 yards, two touchdowns, and an interception. I would say he did a pretty good job. He had a tough little bit, but he finished with a 96.3 quarterback rating, which is a pretty high for him. So now we're gonna talk a little bit more about the Super Bowl, and as I go over that, I don't know if there's anybody in this world who really expected the Rams to play the Bengals in the Super Bowl, especially with just a terrible season last year with Joe Burrow getting hurt, only playing 10 games and winning 2 games. It was really too bad to see an amazing player have that happen to him, but he did set the record. I think he was the first quarterback to get drafted in the first pick for to go to the Super Bowl in his second year. So it was crazy to see what a great job he did, and now we get to see him in the Super Bowl again. We get to see him play, and it was, yeah, a franchise low of 2 wins last year, and now here they are in the Super Bowl playing against the LA Rams in LA. And to talk a little bit about more of that, last year, as we know, the Bucks played at home, and that was the first time ever in NFL history a team's played at home. The next year, LA is playing this year at home, and that is unbelievable. 2 teams that it's never happened before, and it happens 2 years in a row. So we'll see what happens. Last year, I think the Bucks did have a little bit more fans against the Chiefs because they were at Tampa Bay, but still, it wasn't that big. And I know there isn't a huge amount of Bengals fans out there, but for the ones that are out there and going to that Super Bowl, they are going to cheer so loud. It is going to be awesome to see them. And I know the LA Stadium is just great, SoFi Stadium. We'll see what happens there. So yeah, the game's happening at 6:30 Eastern time on Sunday, February 13th. So if you have time, go watch that awesome Super Bowl game. It's on NBC. It'll be great. So the prediction in I think it's in Las Vegas. The Rams are supposed to win by 5.5 points, which is 66.3% chance of winning. And these are mainly because they're at home. They've got a great offense. They've been pretty much unstoppable with Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, and they're playing against a not as good defense. Their defense did good, like I said, in the postseason so far, and they beat the Chiefs twice. So that it'll be good. That's pretty good. 66.3% on a Super Bowl, which is good to see. And then Joe Burrow, it's gonna be a great game to see Joe Burrow play in a Super Bowl. He's a really good player, as we know, and in his second season to see him play in a Super Bowl. But as we look at the injuries from last night, C.J. Uzuma, the starting tight end, who's done amazing this season for the Bengals, got hurt and was carted off the field. He was in crutches in the second half. I don't think he'll be back. I don't even think there's a chance really he'll be back. It's looking pretty bad for him, but it was good to see him so far this year. But that also evens out because last night Tyler Higbee got hurt, and he did a very good job throughout the season. He's not a super great catcher, but he's very good at blocking, and he is the team when it comes to blocking. So it's too bad to see him getting injured, but now both top tight ends are injured and out. Um, okay, so as we move on a little bit, I want to go to the stats to try to find out a little bit more about who could win this game, this big Super Bowl. And first, let's look at Matthew Stafford. So, Matthew Stafford, over his career, um, he's done a very good job this year, but through since 2009, I guess was the year he was drafted, he's done pretty bad. So, um, if we go down the list, we can see he's played 182 games, and he's got way more experience than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow has only played 26 games in his career, and not including the playoffs. But Joe Burrow has played more playoff games, or I guess they played the same amount of. No, sorry. Okay, let me re-say this. Matthew Stafford has played one more playoff game than Joe Burrow, and they've won the exact same amount of games. Joe Burrow has played football for 2 seasons in the NFL, and Matthew Stafford has played 2009, 10, 11, 12, all the way to 21. That's a huge difference. Joe Burrow has done exceedingly better, but you're also talking about Matthew Stafford was playing for the Lions for most of his career. So it evens out a little bit, but both Joe Burrow and Matthew Stafford are playing their first Super Bowl ever. Joe Burrow, only a couple years ago, did play the college football championship, and it was very fun to see him play in that and do a great job against Alabama and come out winning with Jamar Chase. So these guys have had fun beating teams in championships before. Um, so we'll see what happens there. So now, as I look more with the interceptions, touchdowns, and stuff, it's just been tough for Matthew Stafford. You can't really match him a lot with Joe Burrow, but with his full passing career, he has passed for 49,995 yards, which is close, very close to 50,000 yards, and which is like almost Hall of Fame looking. But if he doesn't win this Super Bowl, I don't know what the Rams are gonna do. They've traded all their picks for till 2024. They have no money. If they're gonna have to live with Matthew Stafford, and if they can't win this game, if they get blown out by 28 points or whatever, they are gonna have a very tough time for the next couple seasons to come. So looking this year, Matthew Stafford had 4,886 yards. Most of that was to Cooper Kupp. I think Eli Apple and Jesse Bates will be going more with Cooper Kupp and OBJ. And touchdowns this year was a tied career 41 touchdowns. 2011 he also got 41 touchdowns, and then this year he had 17 interceptions, which was his third most in his career, and most of those were at the end zone when teams got pick sixes against them, and that is exactly where you don't want to go backwards and let other teams get pick sixes on you. So hopefully we don't see any of those happen for Matthew Stafford, but we have to make sure he doesn't throw any interceptions in bad places. And last night he threw an interception when they're about to score a touchdown against the Niners. So, and actually he also had that terrible throw to Tart, which should have ended the game. They wouldn't even be in this game most likely if Tart had caught the ball. Sorry, Tart, but it just it's cool to see Matthew Stafford here in a Super Bowl position, and now he's got a great he's looking great. The Rams, they're a great team, and if they can pull out a Super Bowl here, he will be remembered with this team, and he might end up staying here for way longer. So now we're gonna look at the small season Joe Burrow has had, and Joe Burrow for passing has 7,299 yards, which is very good, like very good for him, and that is more than Matthew Stafford by a lot. Sorry, okay. I don't know why I keep messing up. I'm rephrasing this. He has 4,611, which is more than Matthew Stafford. So he's done good, and there is some more postseason stats. But looking at the regular season, this season he had 14 interceptions and 34 touchdowns. So he, without a doubt, did way better than last season. He also played 6 more games than he did this season. And like I've said, this is going to be a very good Super Bowl. It wouldn't have been as good if it was the 49ers versus the Chiefs, in my opinion. I think the Chiefs would have probably blown them out pretty well. But I think this is the Super Bowl we want to see. We want to see Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, all those guys take head against Cam Akers, Sony Michel, Matthew Stafford, OBJ, Cooper Kupp, and we'll see what happens. But for now, this is going to be a very good Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. I'll probably do a live maybe sometime this week or next week with my dad, and we'll do some more talking about trades upcoming in the 2022 season that could happen, or we could be talking more about the Super Bowl, preparing to see what happens. So thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.